The stadium lights blazed like angry stars, and the crowd's roar shook the ground like thunder. Jake Thompson, once the fastest runner in the world, sat frozen in his wheelchair at the edge of the track. His team of scrappy kids from the poor side of town huddled around him, their faces pale with fear. "Coach Jake, they're cheating," little Mia whispered, pointing at the rival team. The other coaches were big men with fancy uniforms, and one of them had just slipped something shiny a needle into a kid's water bottle. Jake's heart pounded. He knew what that meant. Drugs to make them faster, stronger, unfair, illegal. His kids had trained so hard running on cracked sidewalks with no shoes, dreaming of this big race. But now, as the starting gun cracked like a whip, Jake spotted the rival kids zooming ahead, unnaturally fast. Mia tripped and fell hard, blood on her knee. The crowd gasped. Jake wheeled forward, yelling, "Stop the race!" But no one listened. Then the rival kid collapsed mid-track, foaming at the mouth. Chaos erupted, screams, sirens. Jake's eyes widened. Was this the end for his team? Or something worse? Jake rolled back in his mind to how it all started. Years ago, when his legs still carried him like the wind. He was Jake Lightning Thompson, the Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter sprint. Pictures of him crossing finish lines filled newspapers. Kids everywhere wanted to be like him, strong, fast, unbeatable. He had everything. Fame, money, a big house with a pool. But Jake was selfish back then. He only cared about winning for himself. "Team? Nah, I run alone," he said with a cocky grin. One rainy night changed it all. Jake was driving home from a party, too fast on slick roads. His sports car spun out, crashing into a tree. Metal twisted, glass shattered. When he woke up in the hospital, the doctor said words that hit like a punch. "Paralyzed from the waist down. You'll never walk again." Jake stared at the white ceiling, tears burning his eyes. His legs, his magic legs, were gone. Friends visited at first, but soon they stopped. Fame faded like old paint. He sat alone in his empty house, staring at dusty trophies. "What's the point now?" he muttered to the walls. Depression wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. He stopped eating right, stopped smiling. Days blurred into nights. Then, one sunny afternoon, a knock came at his door. It was Mrs. Garcia from the community center in the rundown neighborhood across town. "Mr. Thompson, we need help," she said. Her eyes were kind but tired. "Our kids have nothing, no fields, no coaches. They run in the streets, dodging cars. But they dream big. You were the best. Will you teach them?" Jake laughed bitterly. "Me? In a wheelchair? What can I do?" But Mrs. Garcia didn't give up. "You can inspire them, show them heart beats legs." Jake slammed the door, but her words stuck like glue. Weeks passed. Jake wheeled around his house, feeling empty. One day, he saw a news story about kids in that neighborhood getting into trouble, stealing, fighting because they had no place to go. It reminded him of his own rough start as a kid, before running saved him. Maybe, he thought, maybe I can try. He called Mrs. Garcia. "Okay, I'll come, but don't expect miracles." The first practice was a mess. The community center was just a patchy field with weeds and broken bottles. 10 kids showed up, ages 8 to 12, in torn clothes and mismatched shoes. Mia, a tiny girl with big eyes, tripped over a rock right away. "I can't do this," she cried. Tony, a boy with a scar on his cheek, kicked dirt. "This is dumb. We're losers." Jake wheeled up, his voice firm but gentle. "Listen up. I was like you, once poor, angry. Running gave me a way out. But it's not about legs. It's about guts." He showed them his gold medal, shiny under the sun. The kids' eyes widened. "Whoa," whispered Mia. Jake started simple, teaching them to stretch, to breathe right. But twists came early. Some parents didn't like a crippled man coaching. He can't even stand. One yelled. Jake felt the sting, but he pushed on. Then Tony stole a kid's lunch money. Jake caught him. Why? Jake asked. Tony shrugged. We needed more. Jake shared his own story, the crash, the regret. Stealing hurts you most. Let's win fair. Tony nodded, a small change sparking. As weeks turned to months, the kids improved. Mia ran faster, her laughs filling the air. They called themselves the Wheel Warriors. But tension built. Rich schools nearby had fancy tracks and trainers. Rumors spread those teams used tricks to win, like special drinks that weren't allowed. Jake worried. Stay clean, he told his team. We win with heart. One low moment came when Jake's old rival, Coach Vance from the elite school, visited. Vance smirked. Nice hobby, Jake. But these street kids, they'll never beat my pros. Jake's fists clenched. That night, alone, doubt crept in. Am I fooling them? But the next day, Mia hugged him. Coach, you are our hero. It warmed his heart, a quiet high after the low. Practices got intense. The kids ran laps until sunset, sharing stories. Jake learned their pains. Mia's dad laughed. Tony's mom worked 3 jobs. He felt purpose stirring like a forgotten fire. I'm not just teaching running, he realized. I'm lifting them up. Then the big invitation came, the city championship. We can do this, Jake cheered. But as they prepared, strange things happened. Someone slashed their water bottles. Whispers of sabotage. Jake suspected Vance. Tension rose like a storm cloud. On race day, under those blazing lights, it all exploded. As the rival kid collapsed, officials rushed in. Jake wheeled to Mia, helping her up. Coach, what now? She asked, eyes wide. The crowd hushed. Sirens wailed closer. Jake looked at the chaos, heart racing. Had their dream just turned into a nightmare? And was Vance behind it all? The sirens screamed closer, slicing through the stadium's chaos like a knife. Jake gripped the arms of his wheelchair, his knuckles white. Mia clung to his side, her bloody knee staining her sock. The rival kid who collapsed was carried off on a stretcher, his coach Vance yelling at officials, "This is a mistake." The crowd buzzed with whispers, "Drugs? Poison? Sabotage?" Jake's Wheel Warriors stood frozen, their dream of winning the city championship hanging by a thread. Jake's mind raced. Was this Vance's doing? Had he gone too far to crush Jake's team? And what about Mia? Could she even run again today? The head official marched toward Jake, a clipboard in hand, eyes cold. Coach Thompson, we need to talk. Now. Jake's heart sank. Were they about to be disqualified? Flashback to the weeks before the race, when the Wheel Warriors were still finding their rhythm. Jake had turned the patchy field into their training ground, using old tires and sticks to mark lanes. The kids were raw but eager. Tony, the tough kid with the scar, started showing up early, helping younger ones tie their shoes. Mia, shy at first, began to shine, her skinny legs a blur as she sprinted. Jake taught them tricks he learned as a pro, how to lean into a turn, how to breathe through burning lungs. But every high came with a low. One day, a gang of older teens from the neighborhood showed up, laughing. Look at Cripple Coach and his loser squad, they jeered. Tony balled his fists, ready to fight. But Jake wheeled between them. Words don't win races. He said calmly, let's run instead. The team ran harder that day, fueled by anger. But Jake saw the hurt in their eyes. At home, Jake's own doubts crept in. Late at night, he rolled past his old trophies, their gold dull under dust. What if I'm not enough? He whispered to the dark. His accident replayed in his dreams, tires screeching, glass exploding. He woke up sweating, wondering if he was pushing the kids too hard. But then he'd see Mia scream, or Tony's rare nod of respect, and it lit a spark. He wasn't just coaching, he was giving them hope, like running had once given him. Trouble brewed outside practice too. Strange things kept happening. One morning, their makeshift hurdles were smashed. Another day, someone spray-painted losers on the community center wall. Jake suspected Vance, his old rival, whose fancy team trained at a shiny track across town. Years ago, Vance had hated losing to Jake. Now, with Jake in a wheelchair, Vance's taunts were sharper. "You're a has-been, Jake," he'd said at a coaches' meeting, smirking. "Stick to charity cases." Jake bit his tongue, but the words stung. He started watching Vance's team closely, noticing their kids looked too strong, too fast, like they were on something. He warned his warriors, "Stay clean, we don't cheat to win." A high moment came when Mia won the practice race against Tony, her first ever. The team cheered, lifting her on their shoulders. Jake laughed, his heart full. "That's our girl," he shouted. But the lull followed fast. That night, Mrs. Garcia called, her voice shaky. "Jake, someone broke into the center, stole our extra shoes and water bottles." Jake's stomach twisted. Those were the kids' only supplies. He spent his own money he barely had to replace them, but the fear lingered. Was someone targeting them? As the championship neared, Jake pushed the team harder. They ran in the rain, mud splattering their legs. Tony started calling Jake Coach Thunder, a nickname that made Jake smile. But tension grew. At a qualifying race, Jake overheard Vance talking to a shady-looking man in a hoodie, passing him a small bag. Jake's gut screamed, drugs. He told Mrs. Garcia, but she sighed. "We need proof, Jake. Accusing Vance without it could ruin us." Jake nodded, but he started watching closer, even asking Tony to keep an eye out. Tony, eager to prove himself, agreed. The day before the championship, a twist hit hard. Jake got a letter, unsigned, slipped under his door. "Quit coaching or your kids get hurt." His hands shook as he read it. He didn't tell the team, not wanting to scare them, but he barely slept. At practice, he was sharp, barking orders. Mia noticed. "Coach, you okay?" she asked, her big eyes worried. Jake forced a smile. "Just focus, kid. Tomorrow's our day." But inside, he was a mess. Was Vance behind the threat? Or someone else? Race day dawned bright, but the air felt heavy. The Wheel Warriors arrived at the stadium, nervous but proud in their mismatched gear. Jake gave a speech. "You're not just running for you, you're running for every kid who's been called a loser. Show 'em what hard looks like." The kids cheered, fists in the air. But then came the first shock. Mia's fall, the rival kids' collapse, the needle. Jake saw Vance slip into a bottle. Now, as the official approached, Jake braced himself. "Coach Thompson?" The official said, voice stern. "We found something in your team's water supply. You need to explain this." Jake's jaw dropped. "His team's water? How?" The crowd murmured, eyes on him. Mia tugged his sleeve, whispering, "Coach, we didn't do anything wrong, right?" Jake's mind spun. Had someone framed them? Was this the end of their dream? The official towered over Jake, his clipboard like a judge's gavel. The stadium buzzed with tension, the crowd's whispers sharp as knives. "Coach Thompson, we found a banned substance in your team's water bottles," the official said, his voice cutting through the chaos. Jake's heart stopped. His Wheel Warriors stood behind him, Mia clutching her bloody knee. Tony's fists clenched. The rival kid who'd collapsed was gone, whisked away by medics, and Vance, the rival coach, stood smirking across the field. Jake's mind screamed, framed. Someone had planted something in their water to ruin them. But who? And how could he prove it? The official crossed his arms. "If you can't explain this, your team's out. For good." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "Coach, we didn't do it," she cried. Jake wheeled closer, his voice steady but burning. I know, kid, I believe you, but as the official raised his hand to call for a ruling, a shout ran out from the stands, a kid's voice, loud and desperate. Wait, I saw who did it! All heads turned. Was this their chance to fight back or a new trap? Weeks earlier, the Will Warriors had been climbing toward hope, but shadows kept creeping in. Jake had pushed the kids harder after the threatening letter, determined to keep them focused. Practices were grueling, with early mornings and late evenings on their cracked field. The kids were toughening up, Mia's speed grew, Tony's anger turned to focus, but every high had a low. One day, a parent pulled their kid from the team, saying, "This is too dangerous. Someone's out to get you." Jake's stomach churned. The break-ins, the slashed bottles, the graffiti, it wasn't random. Someone wanted them to fail. He suspected Vance, whose smug grin at every meet felt like a taunt. But Jake had no proof. And Mrs. Garcia's warning echoed, accused without evidence. And we're done. A bright moment came when the community rallied. Mrs. Garcia organized a fundraiser, and neighbors donated old sneakers and juice for the kids. At the event, Tony stood up, shy for once, and said, "Coach Jake makes us believe we're not losers." The crowd clapped, and Jake's throat tightened. He hadn't felt this alive since his running days. That night, he looked at his old Olympic medal and thought, maybe this is my gold now, lifting them up. But the low followed fast. The next morning, Jake found his wheelchair tires slashed outside his house. He called a friend to fix them, but fear gnawed at him. The threat was real, and it was close. Jake started teaching the kids more than running. He told them about his crash, how he'd lost everything because of one dumb choice. You fall, you get up, he said. Not with your legs, but with your heart. Mia nodded, her eyes fierce. Tony, quieter now, started helping the younger kids, like he was finding his own purpose. But strange incidents kept piling up. One day, a stranger in a hoodie lingered near practice, watching. Tony whispered to Jake, "I've seen that guy before, near Vance's track." Jake's jaw tightened. He told Tony to stay sharp but not to confront anyone. "We don't fight dirty," he said. "We win clean." The week before the championship, a twist hit. Mrs. Garcia rushed to Jake, holding a crumpled note found in the community center. It read, "Back off, or the kids pay." Jake's blood ran cold. He didn't tell the team, but he started locking the center's doors and checking their gear twice. At practice, he noticed Mia's water bottle looked odd, cloudy, not clear. He swapped it out, saying nothing, but sent it to a friend who worked in the lab. The results came back, traces of a banned energy booster. Jake's heart sank. Someone was tampering with their supplies. He told Mrs. Garcia, who looked pale. "We can't prove it's Vance," she said, "but we'll watch closer." Race day brought a mix of hope and dread. The Will Warriors arrived, chanting heartbeats legs. Jake felt proud but uneasy. Then came Mia's fall, the rival kids' collapse, and now these accusations against his team. As the official loomed, Jake scanned the crowd. The kid who shouted was running down the stands, a skinny boy in a red cap, Ricky, a former Warrior who quit weeks ago. "I saw it," Ricky yelled again, pointing at Vance's assistant coach. "He put something in their bottles before the race." The crowd gasped. Vance's smirk faltered. Jake's pulse raced. Was Ricky telling the truth? Or was this a trick to make things worse? The official turned to Ricky. "You better have proof, kid," Ricky panted, pulling out a phone. "I recorded it," he said, holding up shaky video. Jake leaned forward, hope flickering. But Vance stepped forward, his voice loud. "That's fake. You can't trust street kids." The crowd murmured, unsure. Jake's eyes locked on the official, who looked at the phone, then at Jake. "We'll review this," the official said. "But if it's not clear, Thompson, your team's done." Mia grabbed Jake's hand, trembling. Tony growled, We're not cheaters. As officials huddled around Ricky's phone, Jake's mind spun. Was the video enough to save them? Or was this the final blow to their dreams? The stadium held its breath as the officials huddled around Ricky's phone, the grainy video playing on its tiny screen. Jake's heart thudded like a drum. Mia squeezed his hand, her eyes wide with fear. Tony stood tall, glaring at Vance, who was shouting, "That kid's lying! It's a setup!" The crowd murmured, some booing, others whispering. Ricky, panting from his run down the stands, pointed at Vance's assistant, a wiry man in a black cap who was slipping toward the exit. "That's him! He poured something in their bottles!" The head official raised a hand, silencing the noise. "Everyone, stay put. We're testing the bottles now." Jake's stomach twisted. If the video wasn't clear enough, or if the test confirmed the substance, his kids' dreams were over. But if Ricky was right, could they turn this around? The assistant coach froze, caught by security, and Jake's eyes narrowed. Was this the proof they needed? Weeks earlier, Jake had started preparing the Wheel Warriors for the championship with a fire he hadn't felt since his racing days. Practices were intense, with the kids running through dawn's chill and dusk's heat. Mia's speed was electric, and Tony became a leader, helping the younger kids with drills. Jake taught them to visualize the finish line, to run for something bigger than themselves. "You're not just racing," he'd say. "You're showing the world what heart looks like." The kids soaked it up, their laughter filling the air. But the lows kept coming. One night, Jake found a brick thrown through the community center's window, with a note tied to it. "Last warning, quit." He hid it from the kids, but his hands shook as he tossed it in the trash. He started sleeping less, checking the field at night, his old Olympic instincts kicking in, watch your back, trust no one. A high came when the team won a small local race, their first ever. The kids screamed with joy, piling on Jake's wheelchair, nearly tipping him over. Mrs. Garcia snapped a photo, and for a moment, Jake felt like he was flying again. But the next day, Tony came to practice with a black eye. "Some guys jumped me," he muttered. "Said to stay away from the championship." Jake's blood boiled. He pulled Tony aside, sharing how he'd faced bullies as a kid. "They want you scared. Run through the fear." Tony nodded, a spark in his eyes. Jake started driving the kids home after practice, watching for that hoodie-wearing stranger Tony had seen near Vance's track. The day before the championship, a twist shook Jake. Mrs. Garcia called, frantic. "The health inspector's shutting us down. They say our field's unsafe." Jake rushed to the center, finding a stern woman in a suit, pointing at cracked pavement. "This is a hazard," she said. Jake smelled a rat. Vance's cousin worked in City Hall. He begged for one more day, promising repairs. The team cleaned the field themselves, sweeping glass and filling cracks with dirt. Jake spent his last savings on new cones. The kids worked silently, scared but determined. That night, Jake found Mia crying. "What if we lose everything, coach?" she whispered. Jake hugged her. "You've already won by showing up." Race day was a whirlwind. The Wheel Warriors chanted their mantra, "Heart beats legs." But Jake's nerves were raw. He checked their bottles himself, but now they were accused of cheating. As the officials tested the water, Jake wailed to Ricky. "Why'd you come back?" he asked. Ricky shuffled, eyes down. "I quit because I was scared, but you believed in us. I saw that guy mess with your stuff, so I followed him." Jake's chest tightened, pride mixed with fear. The official returned, face grim. The bottles had a stimulant, but the video shows tampering by someone else. He glanced at Vance's assistant, now sweating. Vance shouted, "He's not with me." But the assistant bolted, shoving through the crowd. Security tackled him, and a small vial fell from his pocket. The crowd gasped. Jake's hope surged, but the official held up a hand. "We need more tests." The race is paused, Mia sobbed. Can I still run? Jake looked at her bloody knee, then at the team, their faces desperate. He wheeled to the officials, voice loud. Let my kids race. They're clean. The head official hesitated, then nodded. One race. But if the tests aren't clear, you're out. As Mia lined up, limping, Jake's heart pounded. Could she pull through? Or was this a trap to crush them for good?